Guy comes off the injured list, and he picks up right where the rest of the pitching staff performs at a high level. And the Brewers take 3 of 4 for the Marlins, and they increase their lead in the division. And another day rips off the calendar, and the Brewers have a 4.5 game lead in the division. We'll talk about all this coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, they just keep winning. They do. They have a bad game on Wednesday night. They bounce back, and they get the job done on Thursday. Take 3 of 4 from the Marlins. Miami came in here having won 8 of 10. They were a team that was looking to really try to make their move in the wild card race because they're not winning the division, obviously. The Braves have already clinched that, and the Braves, for all intents and purposes, clinched that one in May. But the Marlins are a scrappy, good team, but the Brewer pitching held them down 5 runs in the 4 games, and they take 3 of 4 in the series. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, first-year host, longtime sportscaster in the great state of Wisconsin. Good to have you along. Please follow us along on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Download us on your various platforms, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major ones. I listed them on my podcast, on my Twitter account. And of course, you get the video version Monday through Friday. As when we drop the audio version, we drop the video version first usually, and that is on Locked On Brewers. Go to YouTube, go to Locked On Brewers, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, hit the like button, and we're all good. Locked On Brewers, you're on. We're trying to get to 2,000 people, 2,000 subscriptions on YouTube, and it is getting there fast, and it's because of you, great fans, the Brewers fans, who went out there today. A beautiful day to be out at AmFam Field. Just a fantastic day, 70 degrees. And, let's face it, in Wisconsin, these days are numbered in Wisconsin. And this was like our last businessman special, I want to say. They play the Cardinals coming up in a couple of weeks. But here we are, heading down the home stretch. We got 3 more weekends of baseball left. As of this coming Sunday, 2 weeks from Sunday, will be the final day of the regular season. Let's hope it doesn't come down to that day when the Brewers are taking on the Cubs at 2:05 this afternoon, that day on a Sunday. That's the day that every baseball team starts at the same time. So we can determine it's just a wild day for the Milwaukee, for Major League Baseball. And I think that's pretty cool. But it's not going to come down to that, hopefully, for the Milwaukee Brewers. Hopefully they'll have this division clinched. And, in that series against the Cubs, we'll be resting guys. You're going to see some guys pitching and some guys starting, and you hope you don't have to use in the postseason. But bottom line is the Brewers came from behind and won this game 4-2 behind Adrian Houser start, 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 Ks, 82 pitches. Guy came off the injured list and gave him, there'd be a lot of teams out there would love to have Adrian Houser, I think, in the middle of their rotation. He's a guy we're thinking about putting him in the bullpen. I want him in the bullpen for the postseason. If he was in the bullpen on this team, I'd be good with it. But the Brewers are just so stacked up right now. It's like whoever they throw out there, you feel good about. That's just the way it is. Every starter is going out there and doing their job for the Milwaukee Brewers, and that is great to see. This show is brought to you in part by the folks at FanDuel. FanDuel has been a long-time sponsor here on Locked On Brewers, and I appreciate them. Make every moment more. Make every moment more right now. New customers who bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com /LockedOn to get started today on FanDuel. And you look at the pitching matchups for this weekend, who the Brewers have going. Miley on Friday, Burns Saturday, Woodruff on Sunday. I mean, you're going off the AmFam Field. You're going to see three terrific starts probably. Okay. Now, if the Brewers can take 2 or 3, that's what I said. We should always set that. Not thinking they're going to sweep, but if they could take 2 of 3 and keep tearing another day off the calendar. The Cubs did not play on Thursday, so the lead is 4.5. take another day off, and the Brewers gain a half a game in the standings. We're heading down to the less than 2.5 weeks of the season, and the Brewers are marching toward that division title because they're getting pitching performances like they got from Adrian Houser on a beautiful 70-degree day in the bullpen. Williams finished up, got another save. Payam's in there. One after another. These guys are going out there, the bullpen and the starters. And this is what they're going to have to need for the postseason. The Brewers aren't getting a lot of offense. We determined that a long time ago. Yeah, during that 9-game winning streak, they got a big run offensively, but that's not going to happen. Sure, there's going to be some games where they explode like they did against the Yankees Friday and Saturday of last week, but then they're going to come right back down to life, and they're going to see games like these last 2 games. And then scored runs on Wednesday. They came back Thursday, got down early, and then rallied, and Tyrone Taylor was in the heart of all those rallies today. All those rallies. That slide at home plate. How the home plate umpire is standing right there. These are home. This guy is not the home plate umpire of a game in Brookfield Little League. This guy is a major league umpire. How does he not see that? I feel like these umpires are relying so much on instant replay, and maybe that's what they're told from Major League office. When in doubt, call him safe or call him out, and then we'll go review it. We'll see if the manager challenges it. Man, look how many missed calls. I feel like since they've gone to replay, there's been more missed calls than before. Before, when they didn't have replay. I feel like umpires got it right more time when they didn't have it replay than now when they do have it replay, because he was clearly safe, I thought. And umpires right there, called him out, counts challenges and wins the challenge there. But he shouldn't have to use it. It was a great slide home by Taylor. But Tyrone, 2 RBI doubles in this game, 1 to tie, and then an insurance run a little bit later on, the 7th inning. He's coming in the last month and a half and giving them huge at-bats. Huge at-bats. He's not a guy you think of on this team when you look at there's not really stars offensively, but guys you depend on, guys who you hope to count on this team, the Contrerases, the Yeliches, the Freliks, Santanas, guys in the heart of the order. You don't think of Tyrone Taylor. He sits in the back in the 8th or 9th spot, and he plays when he gets the opportunity. And I feel like, just like in the Yankees game on Saturday, and the Yankees, they ended up pulling away from the Yanks, but he had a tie-breaking home run in the 8th inning, and he's done that numerous times. He's a doubles king, I feel. I don't have his totals here, but I feel like he's a doubles king. Will Contreras, too. He's got 34 doubles on the season. The offensive MVP of this team is Will Contreras. I feel like if I'm a little late getting to the game or whatever, my alert goes off my phone. Will Contreras, it seems like he's in the middle of every rally, scoring a run, RBI single, sliding, hitting home runs, doubling. Will Contreras, to me, is the offensive MVP of the Milwaukee Brewers for 2023 because he's been the most consistent. Yelich has had his moments, but he's dipped off, and he got off to a slow start. But there's nobody who's been more consistent on this team providing offense. You can't take him out of the lineup. When you don't catch him, you got to put him at DH because he's been that good offensively for the Milwaukee Brewers. So good to see. We'll talk about Christian Yelich missing another game. Look ahead to the Washington series. And Ryan Braun. Today's the 2-year anniversary on something for Ryan Braun. We'll talk about all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, all you everydayers, for following me along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the various downloads where you can download a podcast and catch Locked On Brewers and a growing audience. And, of course, on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, and hit the subscribe button, please. And you're going to get all our episodes Monday through Friday, and very soon here, we're going to be expanding to weekends as well. For sure in the postseason, we'll be here every day talking Brewers baseball with you. Football might be going on, but baseball town, Milwaukee, we are fired up about the Milwaukee Brewers heading down the home stretch and a division title they're shooting for. Remember, hey, if you grew up watching the Milwaukee Brewers like I did, division titles never grew on trees at the Oak County Stadium or AmFam Field until recently. never take a division title for granted. The Brewers are closing in on it. All right. This show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Of course, there's NFL action on Thursday night, and get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off the NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's worth the price of admission alone. $500, I should say $100 off the NFL ticket, which costs about $400+ or so. Get $100 off. That's a 25% discount, according to my math. That is pretty good. But now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel, FanDuel.com/locked-on, and kick off the NFL season with an offer you're not going to want to miss. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Brewers continue their series, their homestand with the Washington Nationals coming up on Friday night, 7:10. The first pitch. Brewers and Nationals should be a great weekend to be out on a fall weekend out at AmFam Field. You get it on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You get all 162 of Brewers baseball on Sirius and SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. All right, we'll come back and talk to you about Yelich. Look ahead to the Washington series, and it's a 2-year anniversary for Ryan Braun. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. Good to have you along here. Thursday, late Thursday afternoon, early Friday, depending on when you're downloading this on our various apps. I know a lot of you guys set your alerts to download in the morning, which is great. On the way to work, I appreciate you all. I appreciate every one of you guys. I see you guys out at the games. I'll see you out there this weekend out at AmFam Field for the Brewers and Nats. And Christian Yelich missed the 6th game in a row. Okay. But they've been just fine. They're still winning games. Yelich was in a little bit of slump, and we probably think that's maybe the back, which has been flaring up and has been roaring for him as of late. The bad back has been flaring up, and he's going to test it on Friday. He's supposed to return on Friday. We'll see. We'll see if he does. But you got him and you got Canna, who's going to give it a test on Friday with the wrist. He had the cortisone shot, but the old Christian Yelich, we'd be dying if Yelich was out of the lineup. But the 270 Christian Yelich, sure, he's an important part of this team, but he's not as important as he was in 2018 and 2019. If he misses some games, yes, yes. I mean, I'm not going to belittle him for him not being in the lineup. I'm not going to say, well, we don't miss him. You do. But what I'm saying is he was so good in 2018 and 2019. When he was out of the lineup, the line bent one way or the other on the betting line. Now Yelich misses, and the line doesn't move much because he's not the impact player he once was. I mean, he was an MVP impact at one point. And some of that talk is starting to die down. Comeback player of the year. Didn't have a very good August and into September here, but he is returning on Friday. Yeah, and they do need him. They need him to get on some big at-bats. But I like Canna. I do like Canna at the top of the order, and I like Frelick at the top of the order. Frelick is leveled off. He had a base hit today, and some of you guys are on there talking about, Sal Frelick, what's going on with him these days? He's a rookie. He's going to have some tough at-bats in there. The league is getting adjusted to him. There's more tape out there with him about what his hot zone is and what his not hot zone, his cold zone is. So he's going to be just fine. He's working his way through his rookie year, just like some of these other young guys are. And that's just going to happen with players like that. But Christian Yelich is scheduled to return on Friday. We'll see if that happens. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. When we return, we will talk about this upcoming series with Washington and read some of your tweets as well. We'll do some of that as well. We got to get to that. This show is brought to you in part by a new sponsor, Jase Medical. And Jase Medical just got aboard with us this past week. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the little graphic on there. Get yours today. The promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off on jasemedical.com. And I'm going to tell you what, that promo code is going to do for you right here. Modern medical and treatment are important, but our global supply, the chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may be cut off from the treatment you need. That's why Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out the online form, use one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians. They'll review it and determine whether medications are safe and appropriate for you. Then Jase will send out the prescriptions to one of the partner pharmacies where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. You can also send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions at any time. 24 hours a day, you could send them a message. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 by using the promo code, as I was telling you about, Locked On at checkout. So go to Jase Medical, Jase medical.com. Use the promo code Locked On for the $20 off using that promo code at the checkout. That is Jase Medical, and appreciate them becoming one of our new sponsors here on Locked On Brewers. All right, when we return, we'll talk about Ryan Braun, and we'll read some of your tweets as well. Got some questions here, and I'll read some of those coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. Thank you, everybody, all you everydayers, for following us along. You're going to get the Brewers and Washington Nationals Friday night. Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You get all 162 and every baseball game, and for that matter, on Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. I have it. I love it. I love listening to West Coast games when I get out of AmFam Field at night on that drive home. I got about a 45-minute drive home, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, everybody. Let's get to your tweets first of all before we talk a little bit about Ryan Braun and look ahead to the weekend series. Chroma says, just what they needed. Yes, they did. They needed pitching performances like they did in this series. I tweeted out about the pitching, and they got terrific pitching performances. Even Colin Ray, they lost 2-0, but Colin Ray did his job on Wednesday. There's nothing wrong with what he did on Wednesday. Austin says, we all agree the Brewers' biggest problem is scoring. I feel it's more of the consistency of scoring. These last 3 games, I feel, are a perfect representation of our season. They either score 12 runs, 3 runs, or 0. And each day you don't know which Brewers you'll get. You're right. I've said I'm done figuring these guys out and trying to decide, all right, are these guys, what's the real Milwaukee Brewers? Because let's face it, there's been several games this year that watching the Brewers has been painful to watch because they're going up there stranding guys on Wednesday. Right? Runners in scoring position. They get 2 guys on, nobody out, and they can't score. Or they get a guy at second, 1 out, or nobody out and can't score. Yeah, this is what they are. They might, tomorrow night against Washington, they could explode for 16 hits. Okay. Or they could face somebody, a no-namer, and get shut out for 7 innings. That's just the way this team is. But the one constant on this team has been the offense for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's the one concept. Lally says, hey, that magic number is getting smaller each day. That's what I've talked about. Every time you win, you take care of your magic number. When the other team loses, the Cubs for that matter, that number continues. That continues to disintegrate on the days that you need to clinch this division. Haig says, Joey Wiemer should be nothing more than a late defensive inning replacement. That's what I said yesterday. Swinging for the fences every time. Take your chances with Brian Anderson in that situation. Another tough game to lose. Oh, this was last night's tweet. Yeah, I might have talked about Wiemer on the podcast, and I think what you're following up to what I said on the podcast last night about Joey should be basically a defensive replacement, pinch runner if you want, but counting on him to get 4 at bats, squaring up with the baseball. If he doesn't run into one, you're hoping for a lot. And Brian Anderson, no, defensive replacement, maybe a pinch runner or whatever. But, I'm going with my guys. We're going with our guys. Tyrone Taylor has earned himself some at-bats. If he's not starting, coming off the bench, or playing from day to day. But, that's what I'm going with. I have Frelick in center field and Tyrone in right, or, preferably Canna in right. when Yelich is healthy and Yelich is out and left. And I want Carlos Santana in my everyday lineup. You got to rest today, and Tellez played first base, had a big sacrifice fly and a nice at bat for Tellez. But I'm going with my guys. I'm going with the guys who I can count on. And when Canna gets healthy, he's back in that starting day, everyday lineup, I think. You got to. I mean, how could you not keep him? If you want to give him a rest here and there, okay. But if he's healthy, Canna's in my everyday lineup. Frelick is my everyday lineup. I don't care if it's a lefty out there. I want Sal Frelick in my everyday lineup. This popped up for Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun, 2-year anniversary of officially announcing his retirement. Should hit. The first thing I thought was, well, not the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. That we could talk about that some other days. Some of you think he is. But as far as getting his jersey retired, I'm all in on that. 6-time All-Star, Silver Slugger Award multiple times, all-time home run leader, Rookie of the Year, MVP. His number should be retired. 2018, toward the end of his career, big at bats. 2021, yeah, he was not on that team, but 2018, I'm thinking he had some big at bats, in the later part of his career when people had written him off. And he was a good presence in that 2018 team, 2011. And I know what you're saying, the PEDs and all that. I get it. I understand. But number 8 should be hanging from the outfield at AmFam Field. I believe someday that's going to happen. Whether Antanasio has moved on from the steroid thing, because we all know that Mark wasn't happy that LeBron lied. Okay. But still, yeah, he threw a few people under the bus, but I think what he's done on the field, he deserves it. Did he have a Hall of Fame career? Not really. He was on his way after 2011, but he didn't finish it out with a Hall of Fame career. That's for sure. That's my take on Ryan Braun, but I think number 8 will be hanging from the rafters someday. 3-game series coming up with the Nationals, and the Nationals will not be an easy out. And I say that, every time we do a podcast on whoever the Brewers play, they're 65-82. They've lost 3 games in a row. They're not a good team. They're not, but they've beaten teams. They've beaten good teams too, just like the Colorado Rockies, who the Cubs found out this week. These teams aren't lying down. Washington will not lie down. Got 3 good pitchers going in this series. And in fact, anytime the Brewers, I feel like I said at the top of the podcast, anybody who they throw out there has been a good pitcher. But they got their aces. They got Miley, okay, who's pitching like an ace at times this year. And then Saturday night, you got Corbin Burns. And then you go to Brandon Woodruff on Saturday, Sunday. You get any type of offense, those guys are going to come through and deliver big performances. Has Woody pitched a bad one yet? I think he may have stumbled in one of his outings so far since coming off the injured list, but he's been so good. Burns from time to time will stumble, but I feel like this pitching staff is as good as it gets. And those 3 guys, stacking those 3 guys up against the Washington Nationals team, I like my chances of the Brewers taking 2 or 3 at home this series. And then next week they go to St. Louis for 4. How about that? And even though the Cardinals, they just played Baltimore tough, St. Louis won't be an easy out next 4. If you think the Cardinals are going to lay down for the Brewers next week, you're mistaken. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Those are going to be 4 tough games. And then they're going to Miami next weekend. Next weekend, they got 3 more games with Miami. And, the Marlins are going to have something to play. They played the Brewers tough this series. They did. They just didn't hit 5 runs in 4 games. That's not going to beat anybody. All right, the Brewers did win this series, and they move out to a 4.5 game lead on those Chicago Cubs who were idle on Thursday. Feeling really good. Yeah, after the game this past Sunday against the Yankees, when the Brewers had nothing for the Yankees and almost won the game anyway, despite being they couldn't score any runs, and they took no hitter through 10 innings. They should have won. I just thought that was a managerial bad move in that Sunday game. Bring in Chafin, but we're not going to go back. We move forward And they've played 3 strong games. They could have won all 3 of these games. They get in the offense Wednesday and they win it, but that's the way it is. All right. Look to see you all out there this weekend at AmFam Field. Remember the Brewers and Nationals on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers, and you're going to get all 162 of Brewers baseball on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. My name is Chuck Freeman. Thanks for joining, everybody. You've been listening and watching Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So long, everybody.